Hi everybody, happy Monday. We are Chris and Steve with EatWalkLearn. Every Monday we drop a video telling you about our nomad life and all the things that are going on with it. Make sure you like and subscribe, our pantomime expert over here. And we thought, and where are we?
We're in Dublin, Ireland. The weather is finally great. Summer has finally arrived. We're at a brand new house sit, taking care of a German Shepherd, and life is great.
And you might hear him holler from the kitchen as we do this video. But we realized, you may have read our book or maybe not, but we realized we really haven't shared our backstory about how we actually got to why we're in Dublin now on a house sit. So this week's video is a he said, she said about how we fired, that's financially independent, retire early, how we got to our nomad life earlier in our life. So we're going to kind of tell a story.
Yeah, Chris, I think you should start it off with your thoughts about traveling, way back in the 90s. So I'll let you kick it off.
All right. Well, I have been a traveling person my whole life. I mean, we started traveling as kids in the backseat of my parents' car, going across the country. But so I knocked out a good portion of the United States young. And then I started getting to the rest of the country, the rest of the world. But in 1999, I had this vision that I wanted to create a life where I could travel the world full time. I didn't really know how it was going to happen, but that was the vision. So back in 1999, I had the idea of I want to travel the world full time. So
yeah, but we didn't meet until 2009, and we met in Florida. And part of our first conversations were about traveling and what kind of, what were our favorite airlines and things like that. At the time, I was working for a consulting company, and I was traveling all over the country like a crazy maniac, traveling in airplanes just about every day of the week. And we had a great conversations about traveling around the country and doing things that were adventurous.
So we started dating, and pretty soon travel became really relevant because we decided we wanted to take a vacation together. And so I said, "Where do you want to go?" And Steve said, "Europe." And I'm like, "Been there." And then he said, "Hawaii, been there." And then he said all these places. Then he said, "Well, how about Israel?" And I thought, "Well, I haven't been to Israel, so let's go to Israel." So off we went on our first real big, we had done a couple little weekends before that, but we went on a big trip to Israel for a week. And lo and behold, we found one really fascinating thing about our relationship, and that was we were really travel compatible. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's really important for any of you that are travelers or thinking about traveling or being nomadic. You've really got to be compatible with your partner and to just, make your life, a great place.
And compatible might be things like he wants the window, I want the aisle. We both want to carry on our suitcases. We don't want to check baggage. There's different ways you can interpret what that means, but for us, that's what it meant for us. So we were traveling throughout our relationship and our marriage, and we could jump to different places. We went to France for Christmas, and we went to Machu Picchu and the Galapagos for Easter or whatever. And we really realized that traveling was going to be a big part of our life. And so this was going on, and our child was growing up. And then all of a sudden, I got the opportunity to retire at 49. I had been planning my whole life to retire at 55, but a great opportunity came up at 49, and I grabbed it. But that was a little bit earlier than what Steve was expecting. What happened with you?
Yeah, so, at this point in time, really starting to learn about FIRE, which is, financially independent, retiring early. And that's when I really got serious and started my spreadsheet and trying to figure out when actually could I retire, and starting to put my numbers together. While Chris had already retired, I was still working.
Right. And so he was working. My daughter was still in high school, and I really wanted to travel. So, I had to kind of figure out how to do that. So while Steve was kind of thinking about his numbers, I had the opportunity to go on a program called Remote Year, which is an organization that creates itineraries for people to join up with a group and travel around the world 1 month at a time. So I signed up for a 4-month program that went through South America in 2018 and got to understand the model of slow travel, where you go for a month, you stay, you get to know the community, then move on to the next community and the next community. So we did that for 4 countries. I was so excited that this way of travel worked, and I could see how this might work for us. So when I got back to Denver, Steve, in the meantime, while I was gone, what did you do at the house?
So I was working, and our child was in boarding school at the time. So I took an opportunity to Airbnb our house and do some traveling on my own. So I got to get that experience of being an Airbnb host, and made some extra money. And this helped us get even closer to our financial number and make that retirement even easier.
Right. So the two things that you learned from Airbnb was kind of the importance of what should be in an Airbnb and what people look for and what we should look for in an Airbnb, and also you got to bank a bunch of money. So that was really cool. So I get back from this big South American adventure, and I walk into Steve's office. Now, we hadn't really talked about retirement yet. I mean, I had retired, but we really hadn't talked about his retirement, and it was kind of this vague thing that he knew he had to get to a number, but we really didn't have a dateline, and it kind of was this nebulous little conversation.
Yeah.
So I walked into your office and I said, "Honey," and he goes, "Oh God." I said, "What if you were to take a 2-year sabbatical off your job, and we each put in $2,000 a month? So we did a $4,000 investment." I presented it to him as an investment in our future. I said, "How about if we put a $4,000 investment into our future, and you take 2 years off from work, and we'll go around the world, and we'll have this $4,000 a month budget, kind of model this remote year project that I've been on, and let's just give traveling a try." So that was the first conversation. What'd you do?
Yeah, so I didn't quit my job. I really couldn't imagine, taking time off like that, or taking a sabbatical and then coming back at my age, and
How
I
old were
felt
you
like
at
I
the
was
time?
just starting over. So at that point, I would have been 57, 58 years old. And so just to really think about starting over again at 60, it didn't seem like it would work. So it got me really focused on, how do I hit my number, and how do we bank a bunch of money so that I can just quit, be done, retire, and then we can be off for who knows how long, 5 years, 10 years, for the rest of our lives, in adventuring and traveling around the world.
So that was his long answer to, "Yeah, great idea, honey." So we did some portfolio management and did some kind of moving some assets around, and figured out how Steve could bank a bunch of money in a short amount of time, and and decided that we needed to go kind of like think about this, like really figure it out. So I booked a cabin in the woods. Literally, we took our dog and the two of us, and we went up in the woods and just sat for the weekend. And what did we do in the woods?
We made lists. We made lists of all the places that we wanted to go to. We made, lists of timelines of things that we were going to do, places that we were going to see, when we were going to do them, and it just really it really came together, for me at least,
Yeah,
that
lit a fire.
this was going to happen, and it was going to be fun.
And I think the number one takeaway we took from the cabin in the woods was we put a date on the calendar. We said, okay, June 2020, 21, June 2021, we were out there, because that would coincide with our daughter's graduation from high school, and it would coincide when he would hit his number, assuming all factors stayed the same. So, and they did. Actually, they were better then. They were better than they are now. So, boom, we had a date. So then from there, it was just coming back to the house, and we had 2 years to get ready to go. So in the meantime, while we're getting ready to go, I still had that itch, that scratch, that I wanted to travel. So I developed a 50 Hikes, 50 States project. And if you want to read about that, we'll put links down below, and there's all over our blog. Matter of fact, everything we're talking about is at EatWalkLearn.com. So if you want to know about our nomad life, our travel life, our hacking life, anything, go there. But so for 2 years, we did this 50 Hikes, 50 States project and went around the country with really the goal of, if we're going to leave the US, we want to see our country first. So off we went. So in the meantime, while we're doing that, we made all our disposal plans. We figured out how to get rid of things. We had an estate sale. We had a day after the estate sale that we just had this open house. We advertised it, free everything, and whatever was left after the estate sale, people came to the house and just took it. What do you think of that?
Yeah. What was amazing is, and it's actually a Memorial Day weekend in 2021. We went to Alaska for our final 50th estate. Had a fabulous time. Came back. The estate sale had already been done. At that point, it was done while we were gone. There was very little left. But when, the final, take everything was completed at the end of that weekend, we had one bag of trash left. The entire house was completely
2,800 square feet
And
down to one bag of trash.
whether we liked it or not, there was no place to sleep. We were done, and we were started our nomadic journey.
So, and in that last year, also, our daughter was doing the college admission process. So we were playing that whole game, and the entire time we had all these scenarios of getting her to college or not going to college, and where she's going to go and how we're going to get there and all this. Anyway, bottom line is she decided to go to school in Dublin, so that was our first stop. So we loaded up our 2 carry-on suitcases and our 2 backpacks and the stuff that she needed for college, and did a road trip through the U.S., got to New Jersey, sold the car, got on a plane, and flew to Dublin. So, and that's our story.
That was our
Wow,
launch.
we told that quicker than I thought we were going to.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions about how we did what we did, are you thinking about FIRE? How do we rearrange our portfolio? How do we figure out where we're going to go? How did our daughter manage the college process? How do we do residency requirements and domicile requirements? And what do we do with our mail? We have a video and a blog post about the 100 things you should ask before going nomad. And we have lots of other things, and both in our YouTube channel and in our blogs about our nomad life. But if you have any questions that you don't want to go read all that stuff or whatever, just ask them below. What are you thinking about doing? Where would you go? What's one of the troubles that you have with getting rid of your stuff or thinking about going nomad? Are you going to keep your house? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to rent your house? What are you going to do with all those things? We answer those questions, but we'll answer them again if you ask them.
So many questions.
So many questions. So thanks for following along. Thanks for listening to our backstory. Anything else?
Yeah. Ciao from Ireland.
Don't they say Salancha? Salancha from Ireland. Talk to you later.